Hello and welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan MS Pearce. This is a news update for the 28th of January 2023 before I do my frontline update shortly. Let's go and see what's happened overnight and that's relevant to the front line. As always, I start with my indicative release of the Russian losses for the day before from the Ukrainians. Caveat, propaganda, caveat. Inaccurate, and Russia don't really do the same. 800 liquidated personnel, so that's fairly high. 7 tanks, 4 APCs, 8 artillery systems, 1 MLRS, 1 aircraft and 1 helicopter. Again, this is happening every single day. There is at least one of either aircraft or helicopters that is taken out by the Ukrainians at the moment. Sometimes as many as 5 in the last week, and as some are saying, where's the evidence for this? I'd love this to be true. Where's the evidence for this? Really would like to see some evidence, because adding another 2 onto the tally is significant and really does affect the Russian ability to even effectively contest the airspace. Obviously, no one has air supremacy, no one has air superiority. The airspace is fully contested. Neither side has been able to completely eradicate air defense systems and cede suppression of enemy air defense operations. That hasn't happened, and as a result, the air forces on both sides are afraid to really go very close to the front line. I mean, they do, and then you hear about losses. So you'll get Russian Air Force, their fixed wing aircraft releasing missiles from back here where it's safer, and those missiles, whether they be cruise or, well, they're more likely at the moment to be ground attack missiles that are aiming at either radar sites or whatever the targets may be, but they are released further back here. Same with the Ukrainians. But then you do hear about Ukrainian and Russian planes getting shot down consistently. There's a report again today that, in Kramatorsk, a missile strike hit Ukrainian targets, as according to the Russians. In the industrial zone in the evening, Russian forces downed a Ukrainian Su-25, possibly using an R-37 missile. But when you do it, so again, that's a Ukrainian loss. But sometimes you hear about these planes going down quite a long way behind enemy lines, and working out exactly what sort of missile system took that out is interesting. But nonetheless, where's the evidence for either of these claims? 6 drones. 26 vehicles and fuel tanks. So again, a pretty heavy day. Some fairly consistently high figures across the board. A drop in APCs. There has been some incredible numbers for APCs over the last week. Again, where's the evidence? Actually, we have seen more evidence of things like APCs being hit in various places. War Monitor says, and this kind of builds on that, Ukrainian long-range artillery hit and destroyed overnight 2 command posts, 2 positions, anti-aircraft systems, and 5 concentrations of troops of Russian forces. And this then feeds into Operational Room South spokesman Natalia Gumenyuk told that at the moment the Ukrainians are focused on the maximum depletion of enemy troops, preventing them from creating places of permanent deployment and preparing the ground for a possible further offensive by the AFU. Well, if she's in charge of the south, then she's indicating that there will be a possible offensive in the south, and that's probably going to be in this area, as we have been, talking about over the last few weeks and longer. Okay, this is, so the other day we had the missile attack, the 24 drones that were shot down, and then the 55 missiles, of which we had an 85% interception rate. Well, this video has appeared at the moment. One of Russia's hypersonic Kinzhal missiles hit Odessa. I cannot verify it, but it looks genuine, and now it's absolutely clear why there are problems with energy supplies in the Ukraine again. So there were energy supplies, particularly in the Odessa area, and this could well be why. So that is a considerable hit on energy infrastructure, as you can see. And that Kinzhal missile did hit its target, it appears, and caused the intended interruption of energy. So there you go. That's the missile from there. Breaking news: Ukraine has been promised. So this came out last night, and some people have been left scratching their heads, going, "Where does this number exactly come from?" So Ukraine has been promised a total of 321 heavy tanks from Western countries. Ukraine's ambassador to France has said on TV. So in a TV interview, and trying to work out, well, okay, there's this many Leopards, there's this many Challengers, this many Abrams, there's this many uh, Polish tanks that are not Leopards that they've promised. Then there's, some T-72s from there, and it's just trying to work out how the 321 is calculated. But that is a massive number. I mean, that they asked for between 300 and 500 tanks, and if they are genuinely receiving 321, then that has actually achieved the lower end of the range they were asking for, which I never would have thought would have happened. And lo and behold, here we are. So that's good news. And on that note, this is what looks like almost a formal coalition. Poland are really, really leading the way, by the way. So on my initiative says, I think the Polish PM here, we talked among the countries of Leopard 2A4 tanks to jointly create a coalition of donors of modern armored weapons for Ukraine. So there are all these different groups of countries, whether it be Ramstein, whether it be the Tallinn Pledge, whether it be so on and so forth. And here it seems to be a semi-formal coalition of countries willing to give tanks to Ukraine, spearheaded by the Polish. The first Ukrainian military personnel have arrived in Cologne in Germany yesterday to train the Marder IFV. Their preparation should begin soon. DPA agency reports that, with reference to sources in the Bundeswehr, that's the German army, Germany will supply Ukraine with 40 Marders. These are IFVs that are pretty decent pieces of kit, and along with the Bradleys, we are seeing Ukrainian forces being trained, ready for the donation of a whole swath of these things. Sorry, I had to take a tea break there. Italy and France have agreed on a joint order of 700 Aster-30 missiles worth 2 billion euros for the Franco-Italian SAMP-T air defense system. Both countries plan to provide this system to Ukraine. They've already got at least one of these systems, if I'm correct in saying. But yeah, another one is due. There's been some delay on the organisation of this, trying to get it up to some kind of technical issues, I believe. But anyway, the Aster-30 missile was developed to intercept and destroy the full spectrum of air threats, from high-performance combat aircraft, UAVs, and helicopters to cruise, anti-radiation, and even sea-skimming supersonic anti-ship missiles. In addition, the Aster-30 Block 1 and Block 1NT were designed to counter ballistic missiles. Right. The question is, which Aster-30 missile is this? Because the Block 1 missile is an anti-ballistic missile intercept upgrade against 600-kilometer class short-range ballistic missiles. And there's one that is also for much quicker 1,500-kilometer medium-range ballistic missiles. Now, the ballistic missiles, when you talk about the apartment block that was hit in Dnipro, and they talk about whether this was a ballistic missile, and Ukraine didn't have the capability to take down that missile. So the idea that it was actually as a result of an air defense missile hitting that ballistic missile and sending it off course, and it then taking out the apartment block. Well, if they don't have the missiles to do that, then that's not a viable explanation, which was part of the Russian narrative. Now, this missile, if they get the Aster-30, then that's significant, because if they can start taking out ballistic missiles, then their air defense coverage is a lot more secure, and that will be really good news. Okay, US senators call on Biden to send ATACMS and F-16s, and this is explained in the Kyiv Post why it's so important. Yes, absolutely. So the Kyiv Post says, however, when you hear senators ask for, and it turns out that there's only 3 of them, you think, man, that's an opportunity missed. However, it's bipartisan. At least you got Sheldon Whitehouse, who's a Democrat. I actually quite rate him quite a lot. Lindsey Graham, somewhat controversial, Republican, sort of libertarian to a degree, but he's a little bit of a war hawk, as in I think he is certainly in support of Ukraine here. And Richard Blumenthal, I don't know him, asking for these weapons to be sent to erode Russia's capability to continue fighting in Ukraine. In a statement, they said, while the tanks represent a tremendous upgrade in Ukraine's military, we urge the Biden administration and our allies to send more long-range artillery, such as ATACMS, the fighter aircraft such as F-16s and the MiG-29s. A combination of tanks, fighter aircraft, and ATACMS will help Ukraine confront the upcoming Russian offensive and go on offense to both the east and south in an attempt to further erode Russia's capability to continue fighting in Ukraine. Let's give the Ukrainians everything they need to win now. I couldn't agree more with those sentiments. Viktor Orban, has been saying some pretty dubious stuff about Ukraine, reportedly calling it a wasteland and similar to Afghanistan. And as a result, the ambassador has been called to the Hungarian ambassador has been called to Ukraine, summoned to Ukrainian authorities to explain themselves or to explain Orban's remarks. Orban is just being more and more controversial, it seems, and is starting to be quite staunch in his position on Ukraine and on European support for Ukraine. In fact, I think he has. There is talk about him vetoing the. So here, Orban earlier said on Friday that Hungary would veto any EU sanctions against Russia affecting nuclear energy. Hungary has a Russian-built nuclear plant it plans to expand. That is Orban being Orban. And then we move on. This is something I'm going to talk about in more depth in an extra video. If I get time to do one today, I will. This is a Czech retired general aims to beat the tycoon ex-prime minister in a presidential race. So this guy, and basically, if you're pro-Ukraine, you would want this former NATO aligned general to win that race. You would want him and not so his name is Petr Pavel. You don't want Andrei Babis for a bunch of reasons, and I'll discuss that. And that's with regard to Czechia and where their politics is at. And we have Russia on fire again. So this is a massive fire at warehouses in Moscow, caused, who knows why and how. But these things have been 10 a penny in Russia, and we have seen an awful lot of places burn. Is it as a result of insurance jobs, because the economy is potentially going to tank, or is tanking in terms of the retail economy, or is it just general arson? Is it, how connected is it to the war? Who knows? And then finally, you got this bit of where has it gone? Here. So this is quite delightful. So Kazakhstan. This is in Kazakhstan. This is Kazakhstan. Take off your Z sign. Huge respect to the Kazakh people on the video for their firm position. So this is actually the border guards demanding that a Russian who is driven over in a car that has a big Z on the back takes off that Z. It's in Sergivka. Look, put this Z away. Put it away right now. I'm shooting it. Come on, put it away. They are, so these guys say they are Russians. They have passports. They're in Kazakhstan at the moment. If in Russia they can drive like that there, but not in Kazakhstan. Take it away quickly. Don't shout. Our father is dead. They came. They are Russians. They have Russian passports. We weren't even told anything for it at the customs. Put that away. This is customs. This is Kazakhstan. So that's really pretty strong, fascinating insight. I don't know how widespread the distaste for that kind of stuff is, and for Russia in general. But there you go. Anyway, onto the frontline update. That's just stuff that's happened overnight and stuff that I think is relevant for giving you a taste of the context of the war. Thank you for your support. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll speak to you soon.